This is Sarah Tran, and thank you for tuning into this episode. I'm super excited about our guest today, Mr. Victor Zhang.
Good to be with you, Sarah.
Hey, Mr. Zhang, I'm really excited about our discussion today, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we talk about your personal background, can you give us a brief overview of your professional work history, including any jobs you've held since college?
I've had 4 jobs since college, and this is my 29th year in professional services. My first job was with a global consulting firm, Ernst & Young. I was there for nearly 5 years. Then I went to the next company called Here's My CFO. It's now part of Bank of Montreal. And I was there for nearly 5 years. After those, then I joined the investment consulting firm Wilshire. At the time, it was called Wilshire Associates. I think now it's called Wilshire Advisor. I was there for nearly 9 years. I left that about nearly 11 years ago, and now I'm with American Century Investments. Over the course of those 4 different companies, I started as a consultant and a senior consultant to an advisor, senior advisor, principal advisor, to head of portfolio management, to CIO, to president of that particular division. And now I am the chief investment officer for American Century Investments for the last nearly 11 years.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zhang. Now, on another note, before you created this whole journey for yourself, let's move more toward your backstory or your childhood. So where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Everyone has a story, and mine is to some very familiar, to some very unusual. I was born in Beijing, China, and I left China when I was 16 years old. I finished high school here in America, and then college here in America. When I think about my life journey, whether it was me coming to America or taking on the ultimate career that I have today, some of it was deliberate planning, preparation, and execution. But I would say the most critical elements were, in fact, chance or luck. They were unplanned, somewhat circumstantial. And at the time, it didn't seem to have the impact that it clearly did over the last 20, or call it about 30, 35 years.
So would you say you've always had like a business mindset, or do you think that it kind of played out in a random way where specific events would happen and you think, oh, I think I like this?
In my own experience, I find very few people in an early age knew exactly what they were going to do. Especially given today's society, we have access to information, to opportunities, to experiences. I just don't see many people setting a career path prematurely. That being said, on mine, I've chosen many other careers until I chose this as my ultimate career. It was a process of elimination through constant self-motivated discovering for me what I enjoy doing, not what I'm able to do. I found myself able to do many things. Every job that I've ever taken, I found that I was able to do them, not just do them adequately, probably doing them very capably. But it wasn't doing the job or doing well at that job. Does that satisfy part of me? So if I would say the one thing that's worked for me beyond just the self-discovery is I found something that I really enjoy even without being paid. I don't have to be paid today and still love what I do. That was when I can answer to myself, this is something for me. So to really answer your question, I think it was a process, it was a journey. If there was one constant theme in my discovery journey was that I was not going to settle until I found that one thing that I knew that I would enjoy doing regardless of the fame, the money, the respect, what other people think about this. It's really important to satisfy my own internal desire.
Mhm.
That drove me to where I am today.
I definitely agree. You talked about like having lots of experiences and kind of experimenting with what you actually wanted to do in your path towards self-discovery.
Mhm.
So could you tell us a little more about when you were first exposed to this investing pathway and what kind of made everything play out?
To tell you, this is all very, very much by chance. I read my first book about investing when I was 16 years old. The first book I ever was given when I came to America was an investing book. I thought it was a very interesting book. I thought it was easy. I thought it could put my analytical and math skills to work, but I never thought it was going to be a career. I thought it was just a fun activity. And I began investing on my own, and I did that through high school to college to the first few years, the first 5 years of my professional career at consulting. And in fact, when I first left college, the first job offer, serious job offer I got, and I declined, was to be in the investment industry. Now, little did I know, only several years later, again by accident, I was going to come back to this as a career. So all in all, I've just said, this is not this path, albeit seemingly by accident. I have this relentless burning desire to find out what am I really good at and what I have passion for that I really enjoy doing.
Now let's get more into some informational content. You've talked a lot about your journey and how it's been by chance.
Yes.
But for people who are starting to get a kind of a taste of maybe investing is their thing, could you give investing in simple terms, like what it is, why you think it's important for anybody who's interested in that pathway?
Investing is not that different from every other things in life. In one sense, is delayed satisfaction. Let's say you have $1 today, you can choose to spend that dollar and acquire something, whether it's an experience, whether it's something material that you get to enjoy today. Or you can choose to delay that satisfaction and put that dollar somewhere with a chance, whether it's a high certainty or a low certainty, for you to have more than $1 sometime in the future. That is really at the essence of what investing is about. You have to be willing to delay your consumption. You're willing to take risks that what you invest in for the future may not turn out to be more money than you have today, or more money than you thought it may produce. And that really is, there's a process of that's involved. That in a nutshell is investing. Investing could take in so many different forms. People invest in real estate, people invest in baseball cards, people invest in collectibles, people invest in stocks, bonds, or other instruments. Doesn't matter what they're investing in. They are willing to say, I'm not spending this money today. I wish to put in something that has risks of loss, and I hope to have more money in the future.
Thank you so much for that description, Mr. Zhang. But what about investing? Like what popped out to you that seemed, wow, this is really important. I think I want to go into investing.
It wasn't important to me as is, it's something fascinates me all the time. First of all, you can become a better investor over time, like many things, like many other things. So it's not a skill set that will become obsolete over time, so you can get better. Second, the investment environment continues to change. It's very dynamic, so you're constantly learning new things. If you're not happy to learn new things, you're not going to likely enjoy investing, because investing is constantly learning and refreshing your knowledge. And here's another, investing is about dealing with failure every single day. If you don't like to fail, or you just like to win, you may not like investing, because the best investors fail all the time. In fact, they may fail more often than they succeed. But when they fail, they control their losses. When they win, they let their winners run. So there are many forms of investing, but at its core, someone has to be willing to take the risk, and the risk mean that you may be wrong. You may be wrong more often than you think you are capable of. Learning through mistakes is absolutely necessary.
I definitely agree with that. You've talked a lot about these specific pieces of advice, like dealing with failure in investing, how investing is always in a changing environment. Is there any other general guidance you want to give to people who just want to learn more about investing or are just starting to get to know about it?
So investing takes, I have three very, very general concepts around investing. Number one, you cannot invest without capital. You have to be willing to restrict your consumption today to have savings to invest for the future. So the number one steps in investing is, do you like to save or not? If you like to save, okay, you met the first condition. Second, do you like to take some risks? Not saying take extraordinary amount of risks. I'm also not talking about taking no risks. Somewhere in between. Are you willing to take risks? So number two, I would say develop your tolerance for risk taking. So that would be number two. Number three is, if you are not losing enough, you're not failing enough, it's probably a good sign that you can take more risks. Because just like life, we learn best when we fail. And investing, you want to fail early, not fail late. When you don't have as much money and the money doesn't matter as much, you want to fail as much as possible so that when you do have money, when things matter a lot more, you have learned enough so that you won't fail in a significant way. So those are my three general advice. Save, take risks, and make sure you get out of your comfort zone, particularly early.
I think that's amazing advice. I think not only does it apply to investing, but even if you're not going to go into investing or thinking of a career path related to business, these lessons about failure and taking mistakes early is applicable to any career pathway. But we're starting to wrap things up here, so do you want to give us one motto or slogan you want our audience to take away from this episode?
I am a big fan of John Wooden, the coach. He was the winningest coach in NCAA men's basketball. One thing that he said is that don't celebrate and don't plan for miracles. Plan and celebrate for progress. Whether it's investing or a career in the arts, in the science, whichever career path your audience is looking to explore. Like everything else, make a plan, make progress, celebrate the very little incremental progress, and over time, you will make your own miracle come true. And that would be my lasting comment to your audience.
The material discussed in this podcast are the views and opinions of the participants and is not intended to be professional financial advice. Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed it, share it with a friend and follow us on Instagram and wherever you get your podcasts. This is Sarah Tran, and I'll see you on the next episode of Careers.